Okay. I am not going to go through every answer on the front of this scavenger hunt, mostly because there's an answer key and it's just a list of things. There's nothing really to explain. I am going to take a minute here and go through the second page of the scavenger hunt so that we can take a look at some of these key points. So when we talk about self-government, right, it's important to remember that self-government in the colonies is going to happen gradually. Eventually, we're going to get to Declaration of Independence, but by the time we get to the Declaration of Independence, these colonies had largely been functioning independently simply by function of having to make decisions and make rules and function for the last 100 or so years. So the earliest example we have of this is the Virginia House of Burgesses. And the House of Burgesses is created because the Virginia colonists were unsatisfied with the royal governor. And so in order to satisfy them, they created this representative assembly. And so it's going to be the first representative assembly in the colonies. And a representative assembly is simply people choosing someone, usually by election, to express their views, to express their opinions to another governing body. We have a situation in Edison right now. We're going to create a House of Representatives where each house is going to choose a representative. And that person's going to represent the views and opinions of their house, right, their homeroom, to the student council, so the student council can do things that the larger student body, all of the students who go to Edison, want. And that's an example of a representative assembly. In Massachusetts, of course, our example is the Mayflower Compact. And this one's a little different than the House of Burgesses because it is a document, right? It is a written document. That sets up a plan for government. And in its own sort of small way, it is representative of a constitution, right? They write a set of laws. How are we going to make decisions? How are we going to make choices as a colony? And they write it down. And that is an example of a constitution. Now, again, the Pilgrims didn't set off to write a written plan for government. It simply happens because they don't have one. They land in Plymouth when they thought they were going to land in Virginia, and they need a way to make decisions. And then lastly, we have the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. And this is, again, another example of a constitution. This one is a little bit different. It's going to expand the rights. It's going to expand some citizen rights to non-church members. The Mayflower Compact said that you would have a vote, but that vote was going to happen only by members of the church, male church members. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, when Thomas Hooker leaves Connecticut, he leaves Massachusetts, he establishes Connecticut, and he says, well, I don't think we should have just church members. I think it should be open to everyone. Okay. As we look at this one, tens of thousands of Puritans settle in the period known as the Great Migration. And those Puritans are really going to establish the culture in New England. So Puritans are intolerant of other people who disagree because they believe that there is one way right, to be faithful to God. And we talked in class about this issue of predestination, right? That Puritans were paranoid almost about the idea that some people were predestined for salvation and some people were not. And this idea that you needed to sort of purify society, all right, from those people who were not destined, who were not predestined for salvation, right? So they are really purifying society from those who aren't sort of predestined. And the key is here that they don't know who is or who isn't. So that leads to sort of almost an increased intolerance because they're going to sort of be watching everyone to see who might be someone who is among the selection, who is not. Anne Hutchison is a woman, which is her first problem because she's a woman in Puritan society who has ideas. And she starts having discussion meetings that say that you don't have to attend church to worship God. And that's very sort of opposite Puritan belief, right? They believed that everyone had to go to church, right? It was a law you had to attend church. Even if you weren't a member, you had to attend. And so they kick Anne out. Right? They banish her. They say, we don't want you. We don't want your different ideas. We are not here for women having ideas about church, and you need to leave. Roger Williams has similar ideas. He says that he opposes forced church attendance. Okay. And he opposes taking Indian land. And he opposes taking the land from the indigenous people. And the Puritan response to someone opposing them and saying that they're doing something wrong is the same as it was with Anne. They kick him out. Right? And both Roger and Anne are going to end up in Rhode Island. Roger Williams is going to establish Rhode Island, and Anne later will go there. Right? Now, on sort of the opposite side of religion, right, here, we have the Quakers. And the Quakers, unlike the Puritans who believe in this idea of predestination, right, believe in an inner light of God in all people. And because of this inner light of God in all people, they believe that they should treat people like women and Africans, people from Africa, and Indians fairly. And that's going to be very opposite what we see traditional in life in the 1600s, right? None of these groups were believed to be equal to a white European man in the 1600s, according to European traditions. And along that line, they oppose war. Right? Because that belief that you have this inner light of God in all people says, well, then we shouldn't kill someone, right? If everyone is sort of part of this inner light of God, then you can't kill them. It would be unjust. So here we say we're going to summarize in 20 words. I might be a little under, I might be a little over, but we're going to get the major points across here. All right. So William Penn Founds, Pennsylvania. Okay. Pennsylvania, right? William Penn. So we should be able to easily connect those two words. Pennsylvania means Penn's Woods, if we translate it, right? He is given the land from the king. So this is going to be a proprietary colony. Right? Penn is a Quaker. And I'm going to get over here. And establishes tolerance in Pennsylvania. So I'm one word over. But you do need to remember, right, when we talk about Pennsylvania, because of that Quaker tradition, right, they are going to be tolerant of other faiths. So those are sort of the key points on that case study. And like I said, the key for this first part will be posted. So that's pretty much all you need there. All right. Thank you.